You know when I'm right to.
Yep.
I'm right to go. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably I'll have that here because that's where it'll be hanging. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. They're both okay. 1, 2. Okay.
Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
Nightfall over the foothills of the Ranges, and with it comes match day 4 in the Senol NPL Victoria. Two sides arrive tonight, buoyant, brimming with belief after stirring victories last weekend. Dandenong City, confidence was forged away from home last week with a victory at the Village over their grand final conquerors Heidelberg United, a reminder to the competition of Hajduk's credentials. And arriving from across town are the surprise early pace setters, Caroline Springs, George Cross, newly promoted, newly emboldened, and already setting the early tempo of this campaign as the Georgies chase 3 more crucial points on the road tonight. So beneath the Friday night lights at the newly refurbished Frank Holohan Soccer Complex, expectation stirs and opportunity knocks for Dandenong City and Caroline Springs, George Cross. Brent Sternberg and Demir Kulash here with you on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel. We'll bring Demir in just a moment. Here's how the teams line up. Dandenong City have made one change from the side that beat Heidelberg United in the Village last week. Xander Guy goes back to the bench, and it's a first start for youngster Malik Abuzma. So Piers Clark in goal, a back four of Vali Chesnik, Gaku Inaba, Corey Sewell and captain Jack Webster, who goes into the top 10 for all-time appearances in the top flight of Victorian football tonight. The four-player midfield of Brad Plants, Harry Ascroft, who scored last week, Danny Kim and Will Bauer, and the striker partnership up front of Jamie Latham and the starting debutant Malik Abuzma. Georgie's coach Eric Vasiliadis has made no changes to the starting 11 that come from behind to beat the Thunder last week. So Christian Siciliano starts in goal. A back four of Justin Spiteri, Maker, Michael Tsitsidis and Ross Vasiliadis. The four-player midfield of Leo Nazis, captain Tyler James, Nicholas Stibb and Aidin Mustadaganic, and the striker partnership of Daniel Cutler and Luke Lofts. Both teams in their home kits this evening. Of course, Dandenong City in the away-looking white shirts and the blue shorts and socks, and the Georgies in that instantly recognisable red and white vertical stripes. The Georgies will be kicking from left to right, and Dandenong City from right to left as we get ready for this kickoff here at the Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Match day 4 already in the Senol NPL Victoria. Two teams from opposite sides of the city and two teams opposite ends of the table, although it is still only early, of course. As I welcome in Demir Kulash, my co-commentator this evening. What are you expecting here tonight, Demir?
Thank you for that introduction, Brent. I'm expecting a tight contest between two teams who have obviously had contrasting starts based on ladder position, but of course Dandenong City did commence the campaign with that 4-point deduction, and they're back out of the negatives.
On the prowl already with a corner kick inside the opening 60 seconds. It's turned away by Will Bauer at the near post. Cutler, who sent in the corner kick, fires it up and over the crossbar and behind safely as far as Hajduk are concerned for a goal kick.
We just let it go every fucking week.
Yeah, it's on the other end, George Cross. What a start to life in the top flight. Undefeated, thanks to Preston's point deduction. They are currently top of the ladder with 7 points, and they've been defensively solid. Only one goal conceded across 3 games. I think Eric Vasiliadis couldn't be any happier with the start that his team have made. And if they can keep this up, well, forget about survival. It could be an opportunity for them to make a run into finals. And, there hasn't been too many teams that have done that up until recently. And Dandenong City was the first of those in the NPL era, if memory serves me correctly, doing it back in 24. We obviously saw Preston do it last year. And sure, George Cross, they would have been quietly confident about having a good season coming into it, but they've let their football do the talking, and they've impressed in these first 3 rounds of the season.
Promising attack down the right-hand channel. Turnover from Dandenong City. This is Luke Lofts, a tight turning circle, and eventually is overwhelmed by the City numbers. Latham has gone down after receiving some contact there. Webster pumps it up the pitch. Maker. Playing in the heart of defence for the Georgie side. Decided to stick with a lot of the players that were part of that promotion last season. 5 of the players in the starting 11 tonight played in the final game of the regular season last year. Here's Malik Abuzma tangling with Justin Spiteri. Ball trickles behind for a goal kick. Justin Spiteri, who scored his first senior goal last week. It's his first start for the Georgies, come off the bench match day 1 and 2. who this evening makes his 50th appearance in the Senol NPL Victoria. Signed for the Georgies from Bulleen, where he was playing last season in the VPL 1. Here's Jamie Latham for Dandenong City. Turns over possession. Unlike him, Spiteri marauding forward down the right-hand flank. Danny King steps in and wins it back for Hybrook. Latham. Ashcroft comes over to join Hybrook from Hume City. He's played both sides of the Rangers now. Of course, a one-time Dandy Thunder player. Ball bent in behind here, looking for Dan Cutler. Good work there by Jack Webster, who I mentioned this evening, goes into the top 10 for all-time appearances in the top division of Victorian football. He pulls up alongside Mile Majedovic on appearance number 343. Of course, the first of those appearances come 17 years ago, almost to the day, for the Georgies. The then Sunshine George Cross. Here's a throw-in adjacent to the 18-yard box. Not entirely sure what the delay is here. He might have lost the football. Here comes the throw-in. City on the back foot early. Turned clear by Ashcroft. Narva's clearing header. Bauer. Lovely little touch to send Abuzma down the left-hand channel. Spiteri, who is fleet of foot. Poor clearance there from Siciliano. Latham couldn't quite get it under his control, and Corey Sewell's header sees it.
George Cross, of course, most of their history known as Sunshine George Cross, back when they were based at Chaplin Reserve, but not just because of the historic element, but they're a very aspirational club. You talk to their president, Mark Sultana, you know, they've got national aspirations, and if you looked at the NPL Victoria ladder on the NPL Victoria Facebook page, they've got the championship logo next to their name, and the reason being is that they're a championship member who will be, unless circumstances change, competing in this year's version of the championship. So expect to see plenty more football played at City Vista beyond round 26 of this season.
Very exciting times for all of Georgie kind. Here's Brad Plant in possession for Dandy City. He's trying to get around Vasiliadis. He ends up going to the turf, the newly laid turf, I might add, here at the Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. No foul, and behind for a goal kick. Has their fast start this season, the Georgies, surprised you at all, John?
Yes, because, you know, you look at a team that got promoted last year. They did lose a few key members of that squad that you would have thought would have been quite difficult to replace. You know, players like Foster Hosuai, Lockie Royce, Mark Pefferiotis. Quality players in their own right, and you know, you looked at the recruitment and it was, I thought, okay, but it wasn't anything too flashy, but they've definitely exceeded all expectations 3 rounds in. They'll be looking to continue it over the course of the next few weeks and deep into the season.
Making retreats, Michael Tsitsides.
Mel, go Mel! Go Mel!
There's a lot of these players in the Georgie starting 11. They do have top-flight experience, although not with Caroline Springs, obviously, and not a whole lot of it. Half an opportunity here for Leo Marzis, who's one of those players. Played a bit for the Melbourne Knights last season. It's a nice cross in towards the back post. It's just going to drift over the head of Mr. Dunigic and out of play. So yeah, all told, this is their 41st season in the top division of Victorian football, promoted back into the top flight for the first time since 2010. And obviously the story with the Georgies, I'm sure you're aware by now, all those promotions. They were in the 4th tier in 2022 with Daniel Cutler Trying to cut back inside and puts it up and over the crossbar. Reaching for it, clutching for it was Pierce Clark. In the end, he doesn't get a touch and can take his goal kick. There are 3 promotions in 4 years.
Jamie, you're on! Jamie's
It's a
out!
similar story to Avondale a decade ago, weren't they? Similar sort of thing, 3 or 4 promotions in quick succession. And they're now looking to not just be a top-flight sugar hit, so to speak, but to stay here, and aspirations, of course, beyond the NPL Victoria, up in the Australian Championships and whatever that might look like going forward as well, Demir.
Yeah, I think they've taken a lot of inspiration from the revival and rise of a club like Preston Lions and had their own version of that journey back to the top flight of Victorian football. Obviously, they haven't got, quite the same fan base, but the real positive thing from the early rounds, whether it was their round 1 fixture at home at City Vista or their round 2 fixture away at Green Gully Reserve, they've got plenty of supporters, supporters that maybe weren't there 10 years ago, but that are there now, that have been reactivated from, could say, hibernation, and that are back involved in supporting George Cross. And there's a lot of people that are involved with Victorian football that have played for that football club that are stoked to see him back in the top flight, because they understand and recognise the potential that it has. And I did mention that they lost a few key members of last year's squad. Saki is another one that they lost that you thought they'll struggle to replace. And you look at a player like Mustad Danagic, who hadn't really established himself in the top flight before, was playing in the 3rd tier last year from Pascoval, but he's been excellent as he was just there. Actually, that was Leo Marzis playing out from the left, but yeah, they're a team with plenty of potential, and despite the surprise start, you'd be expecting them to be as competitive as any team in this league throughout the course of the 26-round season, particularly when they've got a coach like Eric Vassiliadis, who's been on this type of journey before. He was previously took Port Melbourne when they were a 3rd-tier team and took them into the top flight and made him a mainstay, played finals football with them as well.
The 8th season as manager for Eric. I can't imagine there'd be too many managers, certainly not in the top flight, that have been at the helm for that long at the club that they are at this season.
Yeah, he would have joined George Cross when they were back in State League 2, and he'd come off a spell managing Northcote City the last time they were in the top flight, and one of the most experienced coaches in this league at this level, as is his counterpart Nick Tolios. Both pretty young coaches in their own regard. It's just that they started it quite soon after their playing careers finished. Eric with Port Melbourne and Nick Tolios with Kingston City.
This is McDearby midfield for George Cross. Tyler James, captain for the Georgies this season. He's back playing in the top flight of Victorian football for the first time in 10 years. Tyler James played for Green Gully in 2016 and then crossed to Port Melbourne in the mid-season transfer window, if you like, that season. Rolling forward here. Good work there from Plants. This is Latham. Danger signs here for the Georgies. Bauer eventually gets control and then saw his shot blocked. To start the season anyway, as I mentioned, was on the score sheet last week. A very well taken shot from outside the 18-yard box. He was a known goal scorer at Hume and at the Thunder prior to that, but that was generally as a threat from corner kicks. In swinging cross there from Abuzba. Just slicing the attempted shot on goal there was Jamie Latham. Webster to recycle possession here for Dandenong City. You're just starting to get a stranglehold on this match. Plant very high boot there, might have just clipped Michael Tsitsides, I think that is, who's on his haunches. And the referee's calling for the immediate medical assistance.
We saw a very similar incident recently in the Champions League in a already an important fixture between Green Gully and Hume City. Hume City, who started this season on the wrong foot, losing 3-1 at home to Altona, but they've since rebounded, beat South Melbourne, beat Bentley Greens. They're looking to make it 3 in a row and really silence some of the doubters who have expected them to struggle. And Green Gully, well, despite the pre-season expectations, they've had a shocking start, 0 from 3, and that 5-0 loss against Avondale.
So down to 10 men for the moment. George Cross as Marzies picks up the second ball, twisting and turning and now shooting. It's taken a deflection en route to goal. And another corner kick pending here for the boys from the City Vista. It was Justin Spiteri, in fact, who copped that high boot from Brad Plant. He's just getting his head taped by the medical folks from George Cross, so he will finish the game looking like a mummy for Justin Spiteri. A chance here for the Georgies to muster something perhaps from a set piece. They did look a little shaky at times defending the set pieces in the village, Dandenong City. The one goal that they did concede did come from a corner kick. Footed in, swinger, it shall be. Towards the back post, Saul's header. Maker, just falling away as he fired it at the near post. Didn't really trouble Pierce Clark, who did not start the season between the sticks for Dandenong City. Michael Maram, their reserve goalkeeper, was between the posts. Matthew Maram, I should say. Clark back between the sticks now. Justin Spiteri with that bandaged header back into the fray. Scorer still disappointed with his pass there. I know we've spoken a lot about the Georgies so far, Demir. What about Dandenong City? It's the first time you've seen them in the flesh this season. Surprised so many people making the grand final from 6th on the table last season. What did you make of their stunning 2025 campaign?
Yeah, a season that was probably hovering in mid-table mediocrity for much of it. They struggled for consistency last season, but they found form at the right time of the season. Benefited from Hume City losing a penultimate round fixture to Melbourne Victory. Late on, leapfrogged Hume, then beat Victory in round 26 to beat a 6th and final team to secure a finals spot. And expectations were weren't high, that's for sure. I'm not going to say that they were low, but they did fancy themselves against Dandy Funday in that Dandy Derby elimination final, got the win there, but you wouldn't have had too many people in Victorian football that would have had them upsetting Avondale away at Avenger Park, but they did just that, and they put up an honourable effort in that defeat to Heidelberg United, the all-conquering Heidelberg United, who made an Australia Cup final as well and were the best team last year, but Dandenong City definitely troubled them all the way up until the final whistle. And I'm sure Nick Tolios and the club hierarchy and the supporters were proud of what Hajduk was able to achieve in 2025, and will no doubt be looking to consolidate that with another top 6 finish. And who's to say they can't repeat another grand final appearance again? It is going to be tougher. They lose Kenny Asu, who was a big source of goal for them last season. And early on this season, Archie McPhee, he's out injured. Tim Afarinos is also out injured. Look at tonight, they've got Will Bauer leading the line, and Malika Boosba is a player that I've been impressed with at an under-23 level. He'll be definitely looking to make a mark in what his debut start at this level.
He did make a couple of appearances late last season, 2 of them off the bench, scored in a late season match against the Melbourne Knights. Maker clears it for George Cross. And it has gone behind for Hajduk's first corner kick of the match. And so all of the big guys, all of the aerial threats gather at the 6-yard box. Jamie Latham, the set-piece wizard, member of the team of the season last season, of course. Right-footed in-swinger into the mix, in towards the back post. Plunging, stretching header there from Musta Danagic, back into the dangerous area. Headed to the back post, Jamie Latham! Oh, terrific save from Siciliano to turn it behind for another corner kick for Hajduk.
He didn't have a lot of time to react to that, Christian Siciliano, but made a fantastic reflexive save to deny Dandenong City an opener. And it's little wonder that he's only conceded 1 goal in 3 games with that sort of shot-stopping ability.
So an outswinger this time, Latham. Webster is there. He was challenged for the header. And it's looping up over the crossbar, almost onto the roof for a goal kick. He took that well, Will Bauer. I mean, he is a left-footer. That was on his right foot. Hit it sweetly. Tremendous save.
Yeah, excellent hit. But Siciliano, even better save. And I did hear some of the talk coming into the season that the lack of experience between the sticks may come back to haunt George Cross. I can tell you that in terms of young goalkeepers, Siciliano, 22, can't have as many who are experienced as he is. And he has played at this level before. Yes, he maybe didn't have the best of seasons at Mel Victory last year.
Cutler manages to find Leo Marzis, who was offside.
But he's an excellent keeper, a great shot stopper, and he was a big part of why they looked so defensively sharp towards the end of last season. Kept a number of clean sheets when he did join the team in June of last year, and hasn't looked back. And look, you never know with goalkeepers, their lifespan or their career lifespan is obviously a lot longer than outfield players. And there's been instances before of players who maybe have been on the books of A-League clubs at the start of their careers who have had to drop down to an NPL level, establish themselves, and then make that return to the professional sphere. And Siciliano does have the ability to ultimately achieve that, and he will be looking to establish himself as one of the best, not just best young goalkeepers outside the A-League, but best goalkeepers in the NPL, full stop, over the course of this season.
22 years of age, already has a clean sheet to his name this season, a 0-0 draw that the Georgies played against fellow promotion side Bentley back on match day 1. Making just under 4 saves per match this season, Siciliano, which is third among the goalkeepers that have graced the pitches of the Senol NPL Victoria so far this season. Only 3 match days, of course. Croft trying to fiddle the pass in behind. Bauer. And our referee in the middle tonight, Yanni Zizis, blows the foul for a high boot. And there's another set-piece opportunity here for Dandenong City and Jamie Latham.
Such an excellent performer for Dandenong City last season, as you alluded to earlier with the team of the season reference, and did see him be a shining light in a rather disappointing top-flight campaign for Moreland City a few seasons ago, and Nick Tolios got his recruitment just right when he brought the Welshman to the club, because he's been an excellent source of goals from midfield for this team and creativity, full stop.
Latham resists the temptation to shoot. Webster was ghosting in, and Inaba a little bit further towards the back post as well, neither able to meet the dipping football. 28 appearances last season for Jamie Latham, 25 starts, including, of course, the grand final, and 9 goals, 7 of them in the league. Here's Justin Spiteri. Mr. Banagic and Corey Sewell get entangled. Brisbane. Another. King. Sewell, and Brisbane's got some space to roam here for Hajduk. He plays the early pass for Brad Plant, who is onside. Siciliano comes a long way off his line in the end and plays it well and pumps it back to the sanctuary of the attacking half. He's actually turned defence into attack here. Cutler. Dibb's first time cross in towards the back post. Headed away, not entirely cleared by Bally Chesnick. Ashcroft plays the ball upfield. And back to where we started is Siciliano. He plays it into the audience.
We have seen a first half goal in tonight's other NPL Victoria men's clash between Green Gully and Hume City, and it's the visitors who are coming into the game off the back of 2 successive wins that have taken a 1-0 lead thanks to Berkan Kedar 29-minute penalty. So problems are plenty for Green Gully, who currently sit last on that live ladder.
Still 0-0 here at the Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Nice intricate build-up play here from City. Ascroft tees up Corey Sewell. He was trying to bend it into the bottom right-hand corner, you can see there, but fires it straight at the goalkeeper. Not a noted goal scorer, Corey Sewell. 9 goals in 167 top-flight appearances, tonight being appearance number 168. One of the many players that has played under Nick Tolios, now both at Bentley and Dandenong City.
And an incredibly versatile, reliable and consistent performer across multiple different spells, whether it was back when he played at Melbourne Knights across 2 different stints, if memory serves me correct, or most recently with Dandenong City, and he was a key member of Tolios' team at Bentley Greens, which of course did feature a Doherty Cup success in the 2022 season, and the architect of, or the match winner from that day, Yaqub Mustafa, actually finds himself on the George Cross bench, having been such a key component of Nick Tolios' Greens team of 2022 season, which was of course his final season in charge of the club.
Mustafa is on the bench again tonight for the Georgies. One of their bigger off-season signings, certainly in terms of name and reputation, but hasn't been starting, been coming off the bench the first 3 weeks, and no doubt we'll see him appear at some stage in the second half again tonight.
Yeah, looking at this George Cross team, Jordan Tucker, I assume, is still out of the squad, suspended following that red card in round 2 against Green Gully. Also got Seb Hernando on the bench. He's another former Dandenong City player, and the other player or key starter from last year's team that they are missing is Morgan Filer. I believe he's currently nursing a medium-term hamstring injury that he sustained in pre-season, as we see still foul Cutler for a Georgie's free kick.
Also got Josh Whiteley on the bench, who Scored a swag of goals last season in the VPL 1. Actually finished second in the Golden Boot race behind his teammate Luke Lofts. 14 goals in the VPL 1 last season, so very handy player to be bringing off the bench if a goal is required. I've got a goal kick here. I don't think Chris Clark really knew where that ball had gone, but it is a goal kick. You mentioned the Doherty Cup, Demir. Both of these teams will be looking to go on cup runs this season. Dandy City lost away to Whittlesea United, and the Georgies, last season they lost to South Melbourne on penalties in the quarter-final. They'll be playing away to Whittlesea United this season. The Georgies will play at home. They'll play the winner of West Preston and South Springvale. Dates to be confirmed unless Demir can tell me otherwise.
I definitely cannot. Can tell you a lot of things, but I can't tell you that.
James is able to connect here with Leo Marzies, who's tangling with Chesnick on the far side there. Chesnick wins the battle and the foul. Ascroft is getting in the pocket of the referee. Yeah, last season Dandy City going on a cup run to the quarterfinals. They lost to South Melbourne on penalties in the end. The Georgies losing in extra time to Bentley in the first cup match that they played, which was the fourth round.
One of the impressive things about this Georgies team is that they've still got a lot of players in their squad that were there 3 seasons ago when they were in the third tier. You look at guys like Tucker, Filer, Tyler James, Josh Whiteley, Ottman, Ben Hadou. You know, I remember doing research for Preston's visit to Melbourne City last week, and Preston played that same fixture 2 years ago, and there wasn't a player in that Preston squad of that day who was still on the books of the club, suggesting quite a lot of turnover in the short 2-year period. Of course, it is necessitated by the fact that they are now, competing for an NPL championship and not promotion out of VPL 1, but Georgies, their aspirations aren't too dissimilar, and they've still got a number of players who have been there for a number of seasons.
It's now gone at Frank Holohan, throw in, flicked on by Spiteri, cleared away by Ascroft. Not quite a goal line clearance, but darn close. Jack Webster's screaming at the sideline official, who is signalling for a corner kick. We've seen a few corner kicks here tonight. Not too many of them have hit the mark.
15! 20!
So the next opportunity comes for the Georgies. At the half-hour mark, in towards the near post, that's where the white shirts of Hajduk were stacked. Kim's clearing header, Spiteri wins it back and then firing at a goal towards the near post. Dan Cutler that was, easy enough save for Pierce Clark.
Should offer a quick correction. Dom Felino, who started for Preston last week, was there 2 seasons ago, but the majority of the squad from that time has departed, and look at George Cross. That is perhaps one of the keys to their success. Little turnover, and when they haven't brought in new players, those new players have made an impact. Like the man on the ball there, Maker, very solid across the opening 3 rounds of the season.
Bauer on board for Ascroft. Sewell, outward bound pass, brought down beautifully by Plant, who wants to get onto his left boot and shoot, and it flashes past everybody. Took a touch on the way past the far post and behind for another Dandenong City corner kick. And they are pretty keen to take it. Plant into the near post, diving header from Tsitsides. Latham, Dandy City trying to generate some momentum here. Plant doesn't quite reach a boost, but Inaba, and then clawing and sprawling his way across the goal line to capture the football. Siciliano to no further alarm.
It's always an area that Dandenong City will be threatening from set pieces, particularly with the likes of Jack Webster and Harry Ashcroft, quite towering figures that we've seen get many set-piece goals over the years.
Abusba lays it down for Latham. Did well to stay onside. Back to Abusba. Byline approaching rapidly across the mouth. Goal mouth, I should say. And then Bauer again is denied by Siciliano. Bauer swings it back in. Lifting here, Dandenong City. Kim gets away with a bit of a push. Sewell. George Cross digging their heels in. Webster. Chesnick. Back to the captain who loses possession. An opportunity maybe now for George Cross to try and get their numbers out of the defensive half. That's a bit of a rash decision there to clear the ball up to halfway. It is. Ashcroft again, been terrific in midfield so far tonight. Loses possession. And then a cynical challenge, and Harry goes into the book.
Yeah, he's telling referee Yannis it's his first challenge, but whenever you pull in advancing players' shirt like that, it's quite an easy decision for the referee. I thought Abusba did really well to not only keep the ball in, but to deliver a fantastic ball low across the box. And I think, Bauer probably should have done a bit better, but you have to commend the George Cross defence for being so solid there. And can't recall exactly who the player with the block was, but it was a timely block to prevent Siciliano from having to make a save there. And Abusba, for an 18-year-old player, you don't often see 18-year-olds start in the top flight of Victorian football unless they are playing for one of the academy teams. And when there are 3 academy teams, it's not too often you see a non-academy club giving an opportunity to an 18-year-old, but Dandenong City haven't trusted him. He's been one of the success stories of the youth set up here as Latham launches a counter.
Bauer chasing. Abusba arrives at the 18-yard box. Plant is there as well. Dancing on the football, Will Bauer, but loses possession. Webster nips in ahead of Cutler to win it back for Hajduk. Score still locked at 0-0, but you feel like Dandenong City are on top at the moment as Chesnick comes rolling forward. A great cross, Latham's shot blocked. Turned away by Sutsides. Not entirely sure what that was from Ashcroft. We'll put it down as a shot, I suppose. Webster back in possession. Chesnick. It's going to run away from Brad Plant, and Sutsides shepherding the ball behind for a goal kick.
Seems quite friendly in nature there between Plant and Sutsides, who is reunited with his former Moreland City teammate, Jamie Latham, here tonight. See 2 players who we saw play for that Moreland City team across their 2 seasons in the top flight, who definitely made an impact, so much so that they found themselves back in the top flight for different teams. Of course, Latham straight to Dandenong City in the top tier. Sutsides had to go back down to VPL 1, but he was signed by an aspirational club in George Cross and was such a key member of the promotion-winning team of last season.
Sutsides have come up through the ranks at Green Gully. Only made 1 senior appearance for the Cavaliers before going to Moreland City. Helped them to promotion and then stuck around to play in the top flight. Another one who is a threat in set pieces. 4 goals in 21 appearances for the Georgies last season. Here is Sutsides on the ball. Mr. Danagic. Fair challenge there from Harry Chesnick. He gives it straight back to James. Now here comes Mr. Danagic rolling forward for the Georgies. Can't get the cross past Jack Webster. Cool giveaway in midfield, or not quite a giveaway. Spiteri there to mop it up.
Come on, get through gate!
Caroline Springs, George Cross trying to get themselves back into the game. City have wrestled the momentum their way the last 10 minutes or so. Gibbs trying to loft it in over the City captain.
2 free kicks! Come on!
Nicholas Stibb, also former Dandenong City player back in the 21 and 22 season. Did spend some time at Preston a few years ago. Came back to haunt his former employers last year when he scored in a 3-2 shock win for the Port Melbourne Sharks against Preston. I do wonder if, it's one of those things that's written as stars, him scoring against another former employer in Dandy City tonight.
That was Mr. Dunnigan a moment ago who did ever so well to get the header back across his body and on goal. It will go down as a shot on target, but not particularly threatening. Lofts through ball. Here is Mr. Dunnigan. Trouble here for Dandenong City. He's cut out by Inaba. Mr. Dunnigan chases it down, turns, delivers. Again, they can't get past the Highgate captain. Maker.
Come on!
Tsitsides and out to the fullback in Vasiliadis. And Mr. Dunnigan, I think, was returning from an offside position to get involved in the play. Disappointing way for that phase to end for the Georgies. I do know they've got a big clan of people at the City Vista who are enjoying this match tonight. Where else would you rather be on a Friday night? Rock up to the City Vista, have a look at the top of the table. Georgies taking on Hajduk on the other side of town.
Look, I'm sure it's nice, but it's also pretty nice here at Frank Holohan's Soccer Complex. The weather's still nice enough in early autumn. The pitch looks great. There's no fog. There's little wind. There's no rain. We just had a nice sunset, so there is quite a healthy crowd tonight. Probably say it's probably somewhere between 400 to 500. Always helps when you've got juniors training the same night, and once they wrap up training, they go into the pavilion, get a Travapi roll, and enjoy some football. And that's probably one thing that Dandenong City will look to, particularly with this pitch, is a key priority this season, is to make Frank Holohan Soccer Complex more of a fortress, because one of the things that they've been quite good at is winning away from home. Not necessarily being as impressive at home, but with the pitch relayed and the ability to play some nicer football, I'm sure they'll look to capitalise on that in 2026.
Do you think the pitch being relayed, Zamir, would have changed anything from the coach's perspective in terms of tactics or players that you go looking for, changing a game plan with a... I'm sure they won't mind us saying a much nicer surface here to play on this year. It's only newly refurbished, by the way, just recently in the off-season.
Look, I think they've got some quite silky technical players going forward, the likes of Latham, Bauer, Plant, Xander Guy probably fits into that category as well. Once he's 100% fit, as we see a bit of a tussle there between Bauer and Tsitsides. Maybe not as good-natured as the one between Tsitsides and Plant a few minutes ago, but yeah, that's probably one thing that's hampered them in the last few years. Like, there was that fixture late last season where they smashed Melbourne Knights in the dying stage of the season, but watching the game on camera, the pitch was of shocking quality, and probably did help them that they had to play away from home come finals time and put two impressive 90 minutes, which featured 2 clean sheets against Dandenong Thunder and Avondale to get to that grand final.
Of course, it has been a little bit of a problem, the pitch, in years gone by. I remember the Melbourne City women's team played some games here, and they had some games that had to be relocated because the pitch just wasn't up to standards. So I certainly can't say that now about the newly relayed turf. And I was seeing on the Google that it's half natural and half artificial fibres as well to help it hold up throughout the winter and all those crazy conditions that we can get out here that you were talking about, Demir.
And we'll see a free kick here to Cutler, with Corey Sewell being the offending party. But for those of you that are quite unfamiliar with this part of Melbourne, the police paddocks where Frank Holohan Soccer Complex is based, it's kangaroo territory, and the pitch does get its fair share of kangaroo poo over the course of the season, which groundskeepers have to clean up on a semi-regular to regular basis.
I'd love to hear more about the kangaroo poo, but let's just pause for a moment. It's Vasiliadis with the set piece here for the Georgies, right under the nose of Clark, who parried it well actually to Latham. And City are on the break here. Alika Bouzba running straight at and past Vasiliadis. Bouzba's cross, Siciliano comes, carries it away. Will Bauer picks it up. Will Bauer strikes. It's blocked by Mr. Benegic. Chesnick. City trying to take the lead before half-time. Oh, it dropped for Brad Plant, but it was just behind him. Still they come forward. Hajduk, Sewell, and the free header. Bauer at the back post puts his head in his hands. He knows it probably should have been Dandenong City 1-0.
Yeah, and if there's a night where you probably want the services of the Scottish striker Archie McPhee, who's out injured, it's probably tonight, because his aerial ability is probably one of the best across the top flight, given what we saw in the second tier with Langwarren. Another confident punch there from Siciliano now. We won't spend any more time talking about kangaroo feces, but I was wanting to ask you whether this is the only... we'll stick with play.
Bowled over right on the edge of the 18-yard box. Will Bauer, Yanni Zizis says no, foul. To the disagreement of the home patrons. It certainly looked like Bauer was bowled over from behind. 1 minute of stoppage time at the end of the 45. We're just about through all of that.
Before we cut to half-time, as Yanni says this, I'll save the question for the second half.
Teasers, Demir, teasers. Half-time then at the Frank Holohan Soccer Complex, where we've had a lot chances and kangaroo droppings as well, or at least the musings on such. We need our half-time break. It is 0-0, a pretty even first half here at the Frank Holohan Soccer Complex, and the scoreline at the intermission suggests as much. Glenn Sternberg and Demir Kulash here with you on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel. Friday night football match day 4 in the Senol NPL Victoria. And at half-time here in the Eastern Ranges, it is Dandenong City 0, Caroline Springs George Cross 0. Welcome back to Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. We are ready for second half kickoff here. The Senol NPL Victoria match day 4. Dandenong City and Caroline Springs, George Cross, Brent Sternberg and Demir Kulash here with you. No goals to tell you about in the first half. The two sides locked at 0-0. What were your musings from that first half, Demir?
Look, I'm not sure how it was for the viewer at home, but it did feel like it flew by, irrespective of the lack of goals. I thought Dandenong City had the better of the attacking chances, but that Green Gully defence, that George Cross defence has conceded one goal across now 3.5 games for a reason. They've been quite resolute as we see a George Cross player down on the ground. Play continues up until Zacidis boots it away, and the George Cross physio makes his way onto the park to attend to the injured player. Who is it? Is it Cutler?
I think you might be right there, Demir. Just holding his lower back. Georgie's player. We did have a stoppage in the first half when Justin Spiteri copped a high boot and had to have his head bandaged. Here's Dan Cutler, who's just being rolled onto his back. This looks like it may be a tad more serious. So just a quick report from the first half. Dandenong City 11 shots on goal, the Georgies 7. The Georgies actually had 4 shots on target to Hajduk's 2. And if not for a couple of spectacular saves from the Georgies goalkeeper Christian Siciliano, Dandenong City would have been in front. A couple of Will Bauer efforts that were saved by the young Georgie shot stopper, former Melbourne Victory player. You can see Dan Cutler on his feet. Looks like he won't have to be withdrawn from tonight's proceedings. Still waiting to get off the mark in the top division.
Yeah, I don't think Yaqub Mustafa or Josh Whiteley will be coming on in the next few minutes. Seems like it's an injury that he'll be able to recover from. They also do have Lucas Burns, who's not in the matchday squad today, who is a source of goals, or an expected source of goals, having netted 7 times for St Albans Dynamo last NPL season. He was another key acquisition during the off-season.
Cutler enters the fray. Oh, no. He turns around and he's coming off. Meantime, Hajduk coming forward. Chesnick fires it straight to the near post of the goalkeeper. I thought Cutler looked okay coming to the touchline. He took about 3 or 4 paces back onto the pitch and turned around, looked at the coach and said no. So looks like the Georgies will be going to the bench. 2 goals in 17 appearances for the Georgies last season. Daniel Cutler, of course, they scored 77 goals in the VPL 1 last season, the most ever that the Georgies have scored in a campaign.
I don't think we discussed this in the early stages of the first half, but did you have a prediction for tonight's game? Because coming into it, I didn't expect a lot of goals, which has been the case so far because it's still deadlocked, but I did expect Dandy City to win 1-0.
Well, that good as the Georgies are coming forward. As his shot is blocked. Turned away by Ascroft, who's the only player out there, by the way, on a yellow card. Will Bauer was terrific in the first half. That Through ball, just a little bit too central for Brad Plant. Yeah, tricky, isn't it? I mean, we're still only early on in the proceedings, obviously, but both teams coming off great victories last week. Georges, as you've mentioned, Demir, have been resolute defensively. Baganich in towards the back post. There's no one there in the red and white shirt. Corey Sewell, not one to take any chances or risks. Sees it out of play, and Josh Whiteley is the one who will be coming on to replace the injured Daniel Cutler, and we hope that it's nothing too serious for Daniel. But Josh Whiteley comes into the fray, as we mentioned, runner-up in the Golden Boot race last season in the VPL 1.
And an unfamiliar position for him to be coming off the bench, given did start 22 out of 23 games last season.
Long throw in for the Georgies. Oh, the bouncing ball ends up on the roof of the net.
Finish this guy, get it going!
Untouched.
Get it going!
For a goal kick, the Englishman Josh Whiteley, North Ferriby FC. He's come off the bench the last 2 weeks, missed the match day 1 clash with Bentley.
Is Aydin Mustadanagic a known long throw specialist? Because that was certainly, I wouldn't say it was Dennett or Mikla-esque, but it wasn't far off, and did cause a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment for Piers Clark and the Dandenong City defence as it looped up and hit the top of the net.
He's having another crack here. It's a darn good throw in. It come off the head of a defender and into the gloves.
Do you think that that's an aspect of the game that we can see more players, I guess, training on? their throw-ins to become long throw specialists? I mean, it's not exactly a recent invention. If you go back 15 to 18 years ago in the Premier League, Rory Delap is probably the most prominent proponent of it, but in Victorian football, Max Mikola and more recently Josh Dennett have been considered long throw specialists, and I do wonder if the number of players with that classification increases in the years to come as perhaps more teams deployed that as a legitimate tactic, attacking tactic and source of goals.
And if you've got someone in your squad that can really fling it, I don't see why you wouldn't add it to your weaponry. Succeedi springs the ball forward. Marzi's always trying to get it back onto his left peg, receives it into the 18-yard box. Dib. Danny Kim, the ball balloons up into the night sky. Tyler James out for Spiteri. Succeedi's. Now Vasiliadis. Well run though by Will Bauer. Rather easily in the end. Only really has Brad Plant ahead of him, and now finds Jamie Latham, who was minding his own business, sneaks into the 18-yard box and flashes the shot wide. Agonisingly. The best chance of the game.
Most definitely is. It was so well worked there by Will Bauer to find Latham. He does have a man on the left-hand side of him that he could have potentially used. I think it was Malik Abuzba. Went on his own, and I think in hindsight he'd be bitterly disappointed not to have at least tested Siciliano and made him work for it.
Well, when you see the shadow of the ball on the post, that's how you know it's close. We did see that on the Senol NPLM Victoria replay as Will Bauer wins a foul here for Hajduk down below us.
Yeah, that's the second time in quick succession that Bauer has dribbled past Ross Vasiliadis. Keep an eye on that matchup throughout the course of the half to see if the young defender can.
Chesney trying to use his speed to get in behind here.
Well, he did well there, Vasiliadis, because Chesnick is not a natural right back, but he's been deployed there for at least half a season now, and he's looked a goods. Player who's spent most of his career as a winger and given his Slovenian heritage, is probably the closest thing to a Croatian in this Dandenong City starting 11.
Flag up for offside. It is the 9th league meeting between these two teams tonight. It's not a long history between the two. It's the first meeting between the two teams in the top division. All of the previous 8 have come in the second tier. Dandenong City lead the head-to-head 3 wins to 2 with 3 draws. And the first league meeting since matchday 12 2018 in the NPL 2. And of course the Georgies were in the NPL 2 West and Dandenong City were in the NPL 2 East. Dandenong City were champions of the East that season and promoted. The Georgies relegated. Lofts cutting across looking for Marzi, just ran away from him. Good work there by Inaba to just usher the ball to safety and leaving it for Corey Sewell.
It's a great ball across the area from Lofts, and Marzi just couldn't get on the end of it. And as you've commented there, Brent, great defending from Inaba as we see a Dandenong City player.
Play continues, long ball for Mr. Dunnigan, captured by Pierce Clark. I think this is a Brisbane down.
I think you're right.
Heavily. The play continues. Bauer's got to beat 3 of them here. He's into the 18-yard box. Look out, here comes Will Bauer. The shot was deflected and it bundled around and it goes behind for a corner kick.
I think it was Christian Siciliano's left foot that ultimately forced the ball off target and out for a corner kick. A nervy moment, and that's once again Will Bauer, who in these 10 and a half minutes of this second half has caused Georgies more trouble than he did in the opening 45 minutes, and he looks like the most likely from the Dandenong City attackers to break the deadlock.
So Malik Bisba's been tended to here. He went over the top of the opponent in that challenge and landed flat on his back, but it looks like it's a leg injury of some sort. Might just be cramp. He's got the pickle juice out. Not warm conditions here this evening. It wasn't a warm day in Melbourne today, but it is still early on in the season. And of course the Brisbane making his first start, senior start. Corner kick takes place. It was a rifle from Jamie Latham. Back in by Inaba. Will Bauer's header. And then still right on the goal line. And Siciliano is able to get something behind it. Out for another corner kick as Siciliano ends up on his back. And we may need the Georgies, the assistants I should say, the Georgies medical team here again for their shot stopper.
Is that a busy night, the George Cross physio? There was some treatment that he was called upon to apply in the first half, and doesn't have to come on now as Siciliano's back up on his feet.
Latham cuts this one right across the, not the 6-yard box, the goal line just about. Siciliano carries it behind. He'll do it again. A corner kick this time from the far side. We might get an update from around the grounds with Demir in just a moment, because there is an update to bring to you. As Jamie Latham runs from behind the net to the far side.
Not to go all Chris Kamara on you, but there is. Let me check. But yeah, there is an equaliser in the Gully Hume game, which we'll report more on after this corner kick.
And towards the near post, doesn't get past the first defender.
Cover,
Chesnick into the penalty area. Oh, well hit on the volley. Corey Sewell that time. You didn't see it, didn't you?
No, but I do now see that it was a 59-minute equaliser as Dandenong City are prepared to make their first change of the evening, and it's going to be Xander Guy who's going to be coming on for Malika Boozba.
He showed some signs tonight in his starting debut, the youngster.
Yeah, I think there was that moment in the first half where he delivered a low ball across the goal area that Bauer almost, or ultimately was on the end of, just couldn't force it on target because Michael Tsitsipas ended up with a strong goal-bound block to divert it away.
One ball forward for the Georgies. Pierce Clark comes out to claim it. So Xander Guy, who may be the most high-profile signing in the off-season for Dandenong City, returns to the NPL Victoria, the Senol NPL Victoria from Queensland, where he's from originally. Of course, long-time fans of the NPL Vic will remember Xander Guy, obviously champion with Avondale, and before that with Dynamo. And it's unfair to make this comparison, I know, but he's really the one that they hope will replace the goal-scoring exploits of Kenny Athieu from last season.
Yeah, the only concern that I'd have with Xander Guy does not relate to his ability, because we saw, particularly in that 2023 season, he started the grand final as Avondale's number 9 ahead of Liam Boland, hit double figures that campaign, ended up featuring for Victoria in a game against his home state late on that season, went back home, and my understanding is over the last 2 years hasn't played a lot of football. He did initially sign for Preston ahead of the 25 campaign, but returned home after failing to find fitness following a lengthy injury.
That's well kept alive there by Plant. That looked for all money like that Bauer cross was going to exit the field of play.
But if he can get his body right, he's going to be a top acquisition for Dandenong City. And, you know, I just, on a personal level, I do hope that he does return to the exploits of the 23 season, because when he's in form, he is one of the most entertaining attackers to watch in this competition, and he's a nightmare for opposition defenders. And look, Dandenong City will need it. Archie McPhee's the other player that they've invested in, who they hope will replace the goal-scoring talents of Athieu, but he's unproven at this level, having done so well first in VPL2 with Nunawading City, and over the last couple of seasons with Lang Warren in the second tier.
Here comes another Mr. Dunniget's long throw in. Handed on by Spiteri. Up and down, still not cleared by Heiduck. Eventually turned away by Webster. Here is Xander Guy. 2 to beat. The big fella's done well. Taylor James says enough of that. He has scored already this season, Xander Guy, in that loss at home a couple of weeks ago to Melbourne City, a game that Heiduck lost 4 goals to 2. Again in the pocket of space. Tees up Brad Plant. Just got the ball stuck underneath him. Xander Guy flashes it past that far upright. That's twice they've done that now in this second half, Dandy City. Jamie Latham earlier on in the second half, and this time Xander Guy. That would have been only, I reckon, his second touch since entering the game.
Come on, hurry it up.
The George Cross defence on high alert.
And he just provides a different threat from an attacking standpoint for the Georgies defence. I mean, you look at him, Michael Tsitsipas isn't exactly small from a physical stature standpoint, but he does definitely look inferior when you compare him against Guy, who is quite physically commanding, and he'll be hoping to reflect that with what he's able to do on the ball as well.
Gibbs crossfield pass was a beauty. Here's Marzis wriggling and twisting and turning. Well done, Corey Sewell. Terrific defending, the experienced Dandy City left back.
It's really been the story of tonight. Both defences have held firm and been quite strong, and if you were to do a 3-2-1 right now, it'd probably be primarily, if not fully, comprised of defenders. The player I referred to only minutes ago or seconds ago in Tsitsipas has probably been my man of the match, but there's been plenty of other candidates, and they've probably all been defensive players.
Chesnick's awkward clearance brings danger. Loft's shot is blocked. Sits up nicely for Tyler James, who was arriving. His shot also blocked and deflected. Outfield by Harry Ashcroft.
Once again, another example of the defence doing their job following Chesnick's miscues clearance.
Dandenong City 0, Caroline Springs George Cross 0, 65 goalless minutes. Dandy City have had the 2 best chances of the game in the last 15 minutes. It would really hurt if the Georgies went up the other end and then scored. We do see that happen a lot.
In terms of an update from around the grounds, Green Gully have equalised in that game against Hume City, and it was through the head of Scott Lockhead.
Stiliano, awkward moment here. Just not entirely certain the young goalkeeper, Will Bauer there, keeping him honest in case of a slipper.
I don't think he initially went at that ball at 100%, and Bauer capitalised on that hesitation of sorts and almost made it quite an unfortunate mishap for a goalkeeper who's been quite faultless for most of the night. I do recall him having a bit of a botched clearance early on in the game, but apart from that, when he's faced shots and crosses, he's been quite confident.
Chesnick turns and rolls. Chesnick shoots. And dealt with reasonably comfortably by Siciliano, who we were just speaking of. One of those awkward ones where it's skipping and bounces just in front of you. Maybe that's where the manicured pitch now at Frank Holohan might actually help the goalkeepers. On the old pitch, that could have gone anywhere as Webster plays that one into the bouncy boys out the back.
He did play at this venue last year for Melbourne Victory in what was ultimately a 3-1 defeat.
They're putting their stocks in. Another Mr. Banagic long throw in here, the Georgies. They're getting shorter and shorter. Comes back to Mr. Banagic, who skies it in towards the near post. Maker and Webster. And the offside flag as well.
Now, a question I wanted to ask you towards the end of that first half. I did mention that Kangaroos are often a presence here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex because there's plenty of them around the police paddocks and definitely in Listerfield, which is the suburb this ground borders. But can you think of any other top flight venues where Kangaroos may be a sight?
That thought is Heidecker on the bounce here. Xander, the guy's pass to Latham. He was in an illegal position. It's a good question, Jamir. You've been around the traps longer than I have. I probably should be asking you that. I can't think of too many that are in a secluded area like this and have. I don't mind if they get on the pitch as long as they don't jump out in front of my car when I'm heading home. Here's a double change for the Georgies. We are going to see 2 former Gander City players enter the fray. Yakub Mustafa and Seb Hernando. Mr. Danovich is coming off, as is Nicholas Dibb.
I don't think Mr. Danagic is too happy to be coming off.
Or is it Leo Marzi is now coming?
Sorry, it is Leo Marzis was the player who didn't look too happy to be coming off.
Okay, so Leo Marzi and Nicholas Dibb has been withdrawn. The fourth official did have the number 17 in red coming off. I think that might have just been a clerical error. So Aidan Mustadanagic is still out there on the pitch. Mustafa and Hernando. I was going to say they know this ground well. The pitch has changed since they were last here.
I think with Marzis, obviously, scoring last week. He tends to be one of these players who shows flashes of what he can do. And if there's one part of his game that I think he, would probably want to get better at, it's just that having that consistency to be a week in, week out performer. And look, it's not easy. I think a lot of players in this league can, have weeks where they look really good and then have weeks where they're quite subdued, they're quite quiet. But he's still 25, and given that he's from Canberra and he's sort of sniffed around the professional sphere in the past, I sort of think that if there is a Canberra A-League team coming into the competition in the next couple of years, then Marzies would probably want to put his name up as a potential recruit going forward, as we see Danny Kim make way and replaced by probably the player next to Webster and Sewell, who would be quite experienced in George Lambertaridis, of course a former A-League player with Brisbane Roar during the Ange Postecoglou era, who spent the last decade playing primarily in Victoria's top flight.
And the guy getting busy here on the end of the long ball. Lays it off to Lambertaridis, appearance number 181 in the Senol NPL Victoria. Plants. Across the 18-yard box. So he's got to get past Maker, and now he's got to try and get past Hernando, his former teammate. He had his shirt tugged. And draws a foul for the Georgies, and into the book goes Jamie Latham. Didn't make any appearances for Hajduk last season, Seb Hernando, but was a staple in the team the year prior, in 2024.
It was a key reason as to why Manningham United earned promotion back in 2023 VPL for one season, alongside Dandenong City, of course.
One ball forward for the Georgies. Chesnick and Whiteley collide. Whiteley desperately trying to keep the ball alive. He did well to do so, but scuffed of a would-be cross behind for a goal kick. His second stint, actually, here at the Georgies, Seb Hernando. 6 appearances in the VPL 1 in 2024. Third appearance of this season, all of them coming off the bench. Guy and Seedies colliding. Ashcroft lofts it forward. Nice touch on the pass. Here's Bauer, the ever-threatening one. Vasiliadis watching him closely. Happy enough to give away a throw-in.
We see a bit of an active support element in the far corner of the pitch by what I assume are Dandenong City juniors. I can't imagine many of the George Cross juniors have travelled.
Shouts for a handball in the box, and then the shot deflected and behind. So corner kick for Hajduk. I reckon we've got the average age of that squad over there would be about 11. Are they making some noise? The soundtrack.
Yeah, Jamie.
Getting towards the point in time where Dandy City did so much damage last season. They scored 20 goals in the final 15 minutes of games last season, which was the most in the top division.
Attack the front post. Planty, attack the front post. Planty.
Latham,
Planty, attack the front post.
corner kick specialist. Is this the moment Hajduk snatch the lead? It goes in towards the back post. Maker's header takes it away from Webster. Inaba back in towards the wing pack. Goalkeeper misses it. Spiteri doesn't quite clear it. And on the second time of asking, he does. Flagged down by Chesnick. Gets away from the lunging Hernando and retreats back to Corey Sewell. And plays it forward. Webster still up as a part of the attack. Oh, Guy and Tsitsides again collide. No foul. And now Mustafa brings the Georgies up to the fringes of the attacking third. Opportunity potentially here. And the shot from Mustadanagic. Well, it was high and wide, but it was a deflection that took it there. the Georgies have flipped the pitch and have a corner kick of their own.
There were half-hearted appeals for a penalty from Dandenong City a couple of minutes ago. The ball did look like it struck the George Cross defender's arms, but I'm not too sure how much he knew about it. And you could say that his arms were up, and Yanni Zizis did give a penalty in his game last week for similar instances. He stops play to have a chat to a couple of players who he thinks are getting a bit too physical, but I thought that was great defensive work from Spiteri initially to probably bail out not just his goalkeeper but his defence as George Cross prepared to take this corner.
Lofts into the back post. Xander Guy's defensive header. Disappears back behind, and another corner kick to be taken from the far side. They like their corner kicks to be in-swingers, so Ross Vasiliadis goes to take this one. The left-footed player. Quickly taken. Oh, the lunging Michael Succeedis. Cleared by Hajduk. James. In from Mustafa, who heads it back in towards the goal mouth, but nobody there in a red or white striped shirt. Pierce Clark watches it happily go behind. 75 and a bit minutes played here at the Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Still it's Dandenong City 0, Caroline Springs George Cross 0. As we draw towards the close, it'll get cagier and cagier. Guy. Errant pass going forward.
Got another George Cross player down. Have to say, Brent, as we tick past 75 minutes on the clock, or close to 76 now, I do wonder if it's just going to be one of those nights where it's destined to finish scoreless, which is a far cry from the last game you and I called together, which was all the way back in the 2022 NPL final series between Oakley and Heidelberg United. Went the distance, 120 minutes and penalties. What was a 3-3 draw, ultimately won by Oakley. If memory serves me correct, it was Nick Feely who proved heroic in the penalty shootout, but
Saves that penalty of Adrian Zara, I think.
yeah, but ultimately that was his last contribution of the season, because the next time Oakley played, which was the following week in that semi-final against Port Melbourne Sharks, they had to rely on a dispensation to sign Luis Italiano, and Feely had suffered a season-ending injury. Of course.
Sorry, this is Maker down, by the way. He was just getting they call that the magic spray on the right ankle. I don't know what's so magic about it, but it seems to have helped. He hobbles to the touchline on the far side.
And he's had another solid performance. The player who we've seen have stints in the past at this level with the likes of Port Melbourne Sharks and Dandenong Thunder, and he's had some overseas ventures as well. I think he's another one that if he can play consistently week in, week out, can really establish himself as one of the competition's best. He showed signs of in the past.
Terrific header there from Mustafa, and Whiteley's low-driven ball deflects off the back of Jack Webster and behind for another Georgie's corner kick. We're starting to stack up these set pieces. George Cross. Luke Lofts makes his way over. And they mill in and around the goalkeeper again. Oh, it's just tipping over the head of Pierce Clark. The Georgies have put a lot of their crosses right in towards the goal mouth this season. Tonight, I should say. So far as Hajduk are concerned, no harm.
Yeah, both keepers have looked relatively untroubled. And it probably would have been part of the scouting report on a goalkeeper like Christian Siciliano, who last season had a few mishaps aerially, but so far this season he's looked like a different player. And once again, just one goal conceded in what is now approaching 360 minutes of football. Probably more when you consider all the added time across their first 4 games.
Still with 10 or so minutes to play here. Give away in midfield. Chesnick puts it straight back. Well done there by Tyler James. Mustafa doing close quarters there. Hernando asking for and receiving a foul for a handball against George Lambatteridis.
Now, Brent, if there's one team who emerges victorious from here on in, who's it going to be? Who looks more likely to you?
Very difficult to answer that question, Demir. It's gone in dribs and drabs tonight. Well done, Spiteri. Both teams have sort of had their moments. Lots disappointed with that pass. My honest answer is I don't know, Demir. Guy. Cut out by Succeedi.
Look, if you're going to sit on the fence, I'm going to stick with my pre-game prediction, which was Dandenong City 1-0. But it wouldn't surprise me if Georgies get the winner themselves. They probably looking the more threatening of the two teams as we speak, but Dandenong City have had the better chances, not just in this half, but I'd say across 81 minutes here tonight.
Well, what about this, Demir? Which team do you think would be the happier to settle for a 0 draw?
Definitely George Cross.
Will Bauer's gone quiet the last quarter hour or so. Zandagai, first time pass, looking for Lambatteridis. Ball's over. Josh Whiteley springs back up to his feet after winning the foul.
Yeah, Whiteley, not often seen in that type of defensive position, but there's one thing you really have to compliment him on since coming on. It's his work rate. He's provided ample cover here for Vasiliadis, and the threat that we saw from Bauer earlier in this half has been mitigated. So we see a heavy challenge there. Advantage played.
With Mustafa here, who's terribly outnumbered. Lays it off to Whiteley. Bauer has stayed down just behind the action here. Whiteley can't find Mustafa. Webster calmly navigates Dandenong City out of defence and just left his trailing leg in there to draw a little bit of contact. Expertly done. Appearance number 343. As you were saying before we come to air, Demir, when you take into account all of those appearances at Bentley in the second division, those 343 appearances are just top flight. Played in a lot more, cup games and games in lower divisions as well.
Yeah, just incredible level of consistency over so many years, and as we see a double change here for Dandenong City. But I saw NPL Women's is celebrating its 10th anniversary, and they're doing a Team of the Decade. I know the men's component of the competition has been going around for slightly longer, but if you were to do a all-time NPL Victoria men's, then Jack Webster would be probably one of the first names on the team sheet. He's been that good and that consistent and that reliable over 17 years now. All but one of those in the top flight of Victorian football.
This is young Rocco Tostonic, who's come on for his first senior appearance.
No foul, no foul!
Jackson Reno was the other player who come on for Hajduk a moment ago. Rocco's been tearing it up the last couple of years in the underage competitions. Here's Whiteley on the left hand channel for the Georgies, trying to well done, Riley Chesnick. Looked like he was going to let the Englishman get in and around him. Wasn't to be denied. Quite liked his game, Chesnick, actually, playing at fullback for Dandy City.
Yeah, that conversion was made last season, and be quite surprised to hear that it's not a position that he was that familiar with, but given how well he's excelled in it, you can see why Nick Tolios and the coaching staff moved him into that role.
just on Rocco Tostonic, who's into the fray now. It's his second season at Dandy City. He was in the juniors at Box Hill United and Glen Ira prior to that. Into shot blocked.
Time.
Inaba
Face forward,
has Crofton back for Chesnick. Tostonic 8 goals in 21 appearances in the under-19s last season. Here he is, the 18-year-old. It's a fair dinkum cross into the back post. Headed back across the goal mouth by Corey Sewell. Chesnick gets himself into the penalty area. His would-be cross is blocked and it's back with Whiteley.
Good, let's go.
Fernando couldn't link up with Mustafa.
Let's go.
Yeah, and congratulations to Tostonic for making his senior debut. Always a special moment, particularly for a player who's shown a lot of quality over a number of seasons at a junior NPL level. Seen him play before for Glen Ira, and did make a joke earlier that Valley Chesnick, being of Slovenian background, is the closest thing that Dandenong City have to a Croatian on the pitch. Well, they've got one now in Tostonic, which will always delight its club supporters. Always very special when it's one of their own donning that jersey.
Here he is roaming forward, sharing it with Xander Guy. Guy's passing to the 18-yard box, can't get it over the head of Maker. Looks like he's recovered from that knock a few minutes ago. So into the final 4 minutes at the Frank Holohan Soccer Complex.
At a full-time score at Green Gully Reserve. It finished even, 1-1 draw there.
Here's Corey Sewell again. Blocked by Maker. To Sonic. Couldn't quite get it in behind for Jamie Latham. He's behind for a corner kick. You can hear the screams from Nick Tolios. Just shoot it, Rocco. With a corner for Dandy City. All hands to the pump for George Cross.
Attack the front post somewhere.
Any goal now you think would be the winner. Latham, after a false start, rifles it in to the penalty spot. Webster's header, always rising.
Yeah, I was going to make reference to the fact that it would have probably been quite fitting on such a milestone night for Jack Webster to find it back of the net against his former club. Of course, a lot has happened between now and appearance number 1 in Victorian football for him, but also for Georgies. Of course, back then they were known as the Sunshine George Cross, and it's a team that was coached by Andy O'Dell and featured long-time Bentley Greens teammate and captain Wayne Wallace, fellow compatriot.
17 appearances that season for the Georgies, 2009, before leaving in the off-season to join Bentley. He become a 3-time champion and then become Mr. Bentley Greens. Remember that wonderful call from Chris Gleeson in the 2019 Grand Final when he scored? Bentley beat... Who did they beat that year?
Avondale.
No, of course, yeah.
Let's say the cameras aren't probably going to capture it, but the moon looks very striking tonight.
We had a blood moon, didn't we, only a few nights ago? Heading towards second half stoppage time. Latham in behind for Lino. Well done by Safides. He goes close to the 3 votes that Dimitri Rush is going to hand out tonight.
In conjunction with you, might I add.
Go out and get it. We're not getting no joy. Go out there and
You're
get
too
it.
kind, Demir. So another corner kick here for Hajduk. Latham, this is the first one they've taken short tonight. Xander Guy pirouetting. Tostonic from distance. Shoots. Oh, dips just in front of Siciliano, who handles it well.
Let's go.
Punts the ball long and high and early. I don't think it really gave his teammates a chance to set up the pitch. Chesnick, still full of running. Concedes possession. Lofts, who hasn't had his most influential game this evening. Hernando with some space to roam. Hernando shoots. Didn't really wrap his laces around it. Pierce Clark captures it down low.
He's been largely untroubled tonight, Pierce Clark, who made his return to the starting lineup in last week's 2-1 win over Heidelberg. And sometimes it can be those changes to a starting 11 that make a slight difference, and Clark, having lost that number 1 spot, is definitely looking to make up for it as we get 5 minutes of added time. I do wonder, I know we've had quite a few subs and there were a couple of injury stoppages, but are you surprised by 5 minutes?
Really, to be honest, we've lost some time looking to retrieve the football as well, which happens here a lot. Latham finds Xander Guy. Tight turning circle in towards the back post. The bandaged head of Spiteri clears. Recycle possession. Inaba. Ascroft. Good work there by Maker to win it back for the Georgies. Back with Webster. Trying to plot their way forward for what would be the decisive goal. Hajduk. Here's Jackson Leno. Fool's cross, doesn't quite reach Inaba. Mustafa is able to pull that ball out of the wreckage and send Seb Hernando on his way. Doesn't have a whole lot of help. Hernando, peripheral vision, he saw Mustafa. It was an ambitious pass. It was, to be honest, never going to reach the former Dandy City striker. Is this game just petering out, or have we got one last flashpoint? Or maybe more? Maker. Been resolute in defence tonight. Hernando whacks it forward. Referee Yannis asks the players to get back to their feet. Not in a giving mood tonight, Yannis. Mr. Stonic. And Batteridis gets past. Hernando slips it through for Leno. Just couldn't get his bearings. And by the time he did, the opportunity had passed him by. It's back with Siciliano of George Cross.
Almost a sublime ball there by Lambertaridis, but Leno weren't quite on the same wavelength. Leno, another player in this team who joined the club at the commencement of Nick Tolios' spell in charge back in 2023, having previously played for the likes of Springvale White Eagles, Heidelberg United and Mel Victory Youth.
Leno's neat little pass. Xander Guy retrieves possession. Clearance from the Georgies. Chesnick.
Face him up, Rocco, face him.
For Stonic. Moving up nicely with Chesnick. Chesnick in towards the back post. Jamie Latham got down low for the header. Couldn't get it on target. And not for the first time tonight, a free header at the back post for Hajduk goes astray.
And not for the first time tonight that I feel that Jamie Latham would be disappointed that he has not hit the target at least and tested Siciliano, because he did so well to get himself in that position. It was a great ball into the box, and ultimately, unless something changes rapidly, it looks like it will be a scoreless draw.
Dandy City will be away next Saturday to Avondale. The Georgies are away on Friday night to match up with Preston. The dying embers of this matchday 4 encounter at Frank Holohan. Both teams entered trying to stitch together 2 victories. Looks like they might be forced to share the points.
Yeah, it's just been one of those nights where there hasn't been enough quality in the attacking third, and both back fours have proved resistant against any attacking opportunities for the most part. Keepers have been called into action without really doing anything too spectacular. There was that one terrific save in the first half by Siciliano to deny, was it Bauer?
Get higher! Get it.
Webster tracks it down for Dandenong City. It's the one last opportunity either way. We're in the final minute of the 5 that we were promised. A give away by Hajduk. Mustafa with his back to goal. Lays it off. Lunging challenge. It had to be clean from Inabra. It was. It's behind for a corner kick in the flickering embers.
And unsurprisingly, Georgie's tall timber of Tsitsipas and Maker have gone up forward. This is probably going to be the final opportunity of the game, so why not? Christian Siciliano wise enough not to ask his coach whether he can join in, given they're at least got a point, you'd imagine.
Vasiliadis sends it in. Zandergaard's glancing header. Sees it behind, but there's no time for the secondary corner kick, according to our official Yanni Zizis, and so it's full time at the Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. A match between two pretty evenly placed teams this evening. Both teams who have already experienced the frustrations of 0-0 draws this season. They both played in 0-0 draws on match day 1, and this match day 4 encounter between Hajduk and George Cross ends 0-0. Bill Bauer probably had the pick of the opportunities in the first half. Cristiano Siciliano was the busier of the two goalkeepers, I think. Both managers went to their benches in the second half, trying to inject some fresh legs and some quality. Ultimately, the 90 minutes come and go without the scoreboard being breached. The final thoughts of Damir Kulash on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel.
Yeah, not much to add on to that, Brent. I thought you summarised it quite well. Dandenong City, the more disappointed of the two teams, given that, one, it is a home game, and two, they had the better of the chances across the 90 to win this one, but it was a evening where both defences proved triumphant in deterring threats against it, and once again, Eric Vasiliadis would have to be pleased with his team. Someone had told him prior to the start of the season that they'd have 2 wins and 2 draws from their opening 4 games. He would have taken it and ran. As we see the post-match stats, 22 shots to 10 in Dandenong City's favour, and I think upon reflection they'd be kicking themselves that they weren't able to trouble Siciliano more often. Just 5 of those 22 on target. 50% of George Cross's shots were on target, but you never really felt like they troubled Pierce Clark, who had a relatively comfortable evening. As we close this call, Brent, and I'll leave it to you for the final words.
Yeah, so the Georgies pick up their 8th points of the season. Green Gully and Hume City have played in a 1-1 draw, so Hume City are in second on 7 points. The Georgies were hopeful that they could come across town and get 3 points and extend their lead at the top of the table. That hasn't really happened, and we'll wait and see if either Oakley, South Melbourne or Heidelberg United can win and get the 3 points that would leapfrog Caroline George Springs. But ultimately, both teams leave not entirely dissatisfied. They take a point. It's always the away team that feels a little bit better when thrust with that situation. For myself, Brent Sternberg, and Damir Kulash, our camera there, and John as well, thanks for your company this evening on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel, folks, with a final score at the Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Dandenong City 0, Caroline Springs George Cross 0.